Okay, welcome to the June 15th meeting of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. I guess we'll start with the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, this meeting is for, to discuss, further discuss on the agenda, the Lions Road Estates project and the status of the permits for sewer connection. I'm assuming Mr. Urbane is going to be back shortly. He was here and went to do something. In any case, we don't have any permits at all for this. Okay. So we'll have to wait for him to come back, I guess.
You want to skip over and discuss
Yeah,
policy?
discuss the policies. We'll move to number 4 and discuss the policies and procedures that have been proposed. Did anybody do any markup or review of any of these?
No, I thought about it and I was like, wasn't really a whole lot of sense of us all rewriting everything and then coming in here and trying to figure out who was the best. So I figured it was probably best just to kind of hash it out,
Okay.
section by section. Everybody agree to it, and then
Okay.
you know we can agree to the amended version and go from there.
Okay. Okay. What's the pleasure? What do you want to start with?
Connection permit.
Okay, we'll start right at the top. Okay. All right.
This is just, it says extension, but if we make an amendment to limit the ownership of the permit,
Right.
is that considered a part of the extension? Or do we just want to say,
I would think if we would probably want to do a permit one as well.
A separate one for just permits.
Yeah.
okay,
This one is to deal with, you have a permit, you're
Right,
going to.
you already have a permit.
Permit.
This is to,
You
because,
run up against the deadline and you want to extend it for another.
yeah, I mean, this one
Another
came up
year.
and it just happened to be the airport road thing that we were
Yeah, right.
discussing. And
yeah,
so I just threw that one together quick. We didn't have any issues with the permit per se, except for the fact that we need to have it in writing that it doesn't transfer, so.
okay.
So I don't know if we want to buzz through these, and I'll try to throw something together for the next meeting for
I
a,
think we just, because we're gonna, my intention is, I think we should do it for both.
oh yeah, we should add that to this as well.
Yes, this is water and sewer.
Right, but we're gonna take it separate, so if we do a water connection permit extension, we accept this one, we need to write up a water sewer one for
Right. For the
not
permit.
For permitting.
Not, yes,
So I mean, I would say we can add the language in here for non-transferable, but I would put I would also put the language in the
Yes.
permit one, just so someone doesn't come in and say,
Yeah.
well, I got an extension, and I thought after you got an extension, it could transfer,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Just to dot the i's and cross the
Right.
t's, so there's no question when you have something like this where somebody picks up a project that was already started, and then they come in and say, oh, well, we asked for the extension, and didn't say anything about that not transferring. You know, because I could see someone coming in and arguing that, well, I came in for the extension and knowing I was gonna sell it, so I just thought I'd get the extension so I'd give them some time to work
so do you
on it.
wanna add that to this?
I would add that to
So,
this.
yeah, the third paragraph, under limitations.
Yeah,
In no case is a permit transferable by sale or other means.
Yeah, that's perfect. Can we add that?
yeah.
transferable. By sale. I don't know what other means it would be for transferring a permit.
Well, it could be.
By gift,
well, it could
sale or
be
gift, yeah.
Gift or inheritance, or,
Yeah.
there's multiple other ways, I guess, foreclosure, you know.
Okay. So is there anything else? The rest of it, to me, looks, okay, fee.
Yeah, as I say, we gotta come up with the fee, I didn't know what the fees were.
Actually, according to that,
The other,
April 26th of 2019, and we adopted option C. And actually, it says that extensions are the, whatever the current fee, permit fee is due.
so do we know what the fee is?
$350.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Current.
So do you wanna, and this is kind of more of a question for Jen, do we want to put something on the fee to say, you know, as per current fee structure?
Per current fee structure.
That way,
Yeah. instead of
Yes.
just
if we
one
go
of the-
through and change fees, we don't have to go in and
Right.
change
Yeah.
every policy, that way.
Per current fee structure. Okay.
Is there any more amendments to it, or?
Looks good. I have the first paragraph allows for denial of extensions.
Make a motion, we accept policy number WS001-001. As
Second.
written,
As
As
amended.
amended.
as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Do we want to take Mr. Vervain before we do
Yeah,
the
we'll-
other two?
yeah.
2021.
Okay. We'll put those aside until, so, Mr. Ravain, Tom. Ravain. We'll, So at last week's meeting, there was some concern that permits hadn't been renewed or had expired as after further review and going back through our records, it appears that actual permits were never actually applied for by the person who purchased the thing. So
Right.
at this point, we're gonna need to discuss how we move forward from here.
I spoke with David Haynes, and he said all the permits were applied for, like to put the sewer line
Yep.
in, and paid for, and then he donated his $7,500 as a donation that was kind of required for the pump station as a suggestion. But the individual house, I was a little confused that the individual house permits weren't applied for, which we understand when we get a building permit, we gotta pay for the connection fees. And that's the only thing that we had to,
The board approved connection for David Haynes. He paid his $350 deposit for each parcel,
Oh, he did.
but it expired
It
in March
expired.
of 2020.
Right.
So now there
Okay.
is no valid.
So he had that, okay. All right, I was confused.
right, so he paid for all the fees
Yep.
in March.
But that it expired.
So where does that
now-
money go?
That only held it for a year. In his letter, it states that the permit fee is valid for only 1 year,
It was signed, this plan was signed on March 16th.
signed by the planning board.
Right.
His permits are only
He-
valid with the.
When did he
water
write that
sewer.
check? When did he pay for that? Because I'll need copies of all those checks, if everything, I gotta get
I
them to
won't
my,
have copies of those checks.
well, if they got deposited from the town, they
You
must.
have to
And
contact the
it wouldn't go
treasurer.
by when it was deposited, it would
No.
go by when it
When he
was
wrote the
approved by
check.
the board.
Yeah.
Because I spoke with David, he goes, I paid for all the fees, everything's set, you're all set. It's in our purchase and sale agreement, we purchased the land, it was all done.
Regardless, his permit, it was only valid for 1 year from the date that it was
That's
approved
correct.
by the water.
Right.
Sewer
Permits are,
But what I'm trying to find out is when did he pay for that?
Can you produce a copy of the permit?
That's what I want to
I
see.
can find a copy
No,
of
I
the
mean,
letter.
can you?
No, I didn't get
You're
anything.
the owner of the project.
I only got what David said he did in letters. So I mean, right, I'm just trying to do a little research on when we bought the property, said, it was in his thing that all the permits were paid for and done. And he did that for us, because we wanted a fully permitted project. That was the deal. That was the offer we put in, that's how it was done. If the 20th was here
Well,
and.
if it expired March of 2020, it was approved in March of 2019.
19, right.
But the approval that I got, the letter I got, it was back in February, when you guys approved the plan. That's what I'm trying
No,
to,
You keep saying you guys, we didn't approve.
no, the letter, the minutes of this meeting. I pulled the minutes of all the meetings around, and it said, I know there was a letter that was signed by.
That was the planning
from
board
No,
minutes.
the
That you
minutes.
had when you were here the last time, those
Yeah,
were the planning board
but
minutes.
they said they received a letter from George in February. That was approved the plan.
Right, but
Right.
that did not approve permits or
Right.
connections.
Then there was an-
Connection permits.
Then there was approval of the plan on March 7th. That it said,
Connection permits are separate from.
right, I'm just saying that this plan was approved.
Right.
Whether the
By
connection
planning
permits,
board,
okay.
By the
but
planning
there
board.
was, as of March 2020,
Okay.
the permits, the 1-year permit with the Water Sewer Commission expired.
Okay, why would David pay that then?
You have to, you
Right.
have to.
But what that
If
does
you
is
don't-
that's a placeholder for, so that as we go along, we know that we've got this many permits on.
Okay.
We have to be. so
If
that
we
don't-
have to
so that we
repay
don't work-
$350
so that
permit, it's not a big deal. I
It's
just,
for each house.
right, which is fine. As we're doing, I just want to get, and it's nothing against you, board. I'm just trying to go on what the information I was fed through.
Okay.
We had pretty heavy-duty counsel review all of this stuff and review everything, and I haven't brought them back in and through Galaxy Development and them. Most of the counsel was through them, not through me. I'm the home builder on this, running the project, so I'm trying not to involve their counsel because they're, the amount of money for $350, I just to pay the permits, because they.
Okay.
So I just want to know what was paid. I called David today, he goes, no, I paid the $3,500. Matter of fact, they asked me for $7,500 to do this, to assure that the permits were all done and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, David, I wasn't part of that. I don't know. You just told me that you paid for all the permits. When we got it, it was all done. Well, so, I mean, I'm not even sure that wasn't even an issue that I was concerned about until when we called for a sewer inspection, because we met the sewer department up there in October, and not once, not one person has ever said, you do not have permits for this. Not once. They said, no, you're
Back in
good.
October of
Just 2020, we put them in.
2020?
September, October, we put all the lines in. We met everybody up there. We walked the project with everybody. They told us what we have to do to redirect it. How are we gonna do it? Just like we did with the water line. We gotta go an extra 10 feet, put a gate valve. That gate valve at the end of that 10 feet that we put in was $825 I put in. And you wanna check, call Windwater. You guys were all there last week. You know where I bought all this stuff. I would never went and bought that extra gate valve to continue an extra all the way to the end of the cul-de-sac unless it was directed from the board or from the department. Why would I just go, let's go put an extra 10 feet or 20 feet of 8-inch ductile pipe in and a nice gate valve at the end just because we're good guys? Spend an extra, $1,500? No, absolutely not. I was upset that we had to go down 800 feet. So we're not gonna we did it because it was the request of the water department.
Wasn't the request of the water department, it was
It
a request
was
of
a
the fire
request of the planning
department.
board.
No, that
The fire
extra gate
chief.
valve was right from George.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have, like we discussed this last week.
Yeah, and George
And
assumed
George
it
said he
putting
was
the
thinking
gate
it might have been up top.
That we're talking about up top.
Yeah, and whether it was, we were in front of David's house, everybody says, nope, you guys go, what else do we need for inspection, because you guys are good to go. So we went ahead and we did it. Now, you guys knew what we were doing, because the rule of thumb in every meeting that I've been in was we were trying to get that paved by November 15th. So we were under the gun, and we told, with the sewer department, the water department, everybody that we met up there, that was our goal. We were going like bat out of hell to get this thing done. Unfortunately, we ran into some delays of products we couldn't get, this and that. Then it got to the point, honestly, we made the call at the middle of November, because they were extending the paving to like almost to December. We could have done it, and I decided that it wasn't good for the town, for that road. It's gonna be a town road. Ultimately, we're responsible for that road, and the town's gonna take it over. I felt it was in my best interest, in the town's best interest financially, to let it sit through a frost and thaw through the winter. So that's why we waited. I said, you know what, pull the plug, December 1st, we stopped working up there. We really didn't do much more other than clean up some of the berms and do some stuff and get it prepped for the winter. So by that time, everything was in and done, and we had, we purchased the property in July, so by the time we got all the drainage in throughout the summer, but we did the sewer and the water lines in the fall. And you guys were well aware that we were doing it all, because we met you there. And, and we were going off the same plan that I thought you guys were going off of. I had no reason to question George. George had no reason to question me. Because we all thought, I thought he understood. So, like, we've already established that it was a communication error through the planning board and this board.
Yep.
I spoke with Bill today. I was here for an hour today, talking to the town planner, going over everything, saying, look, here's the deal. I
spoke with him a bit too.
I got the records that, it was approved on the 2nd. Here was the plan. Here was the request from the planning board, what they wanted. That John, our engineer who designed that, not my engineer, David's engineer, designed that, made all the changes, was sent to this commission on the 7th. It was said, we approved the new plan. That letter got sent.
That didn't come to us.
That was on the meeting I got. I mean, I brought that last week. I didn't bring it this week because I didn't think we needed it. It's highlighted in the minutes of town that it came from the board, that the new plan was approved.
It was
So
approved,
therefore-
it was approved by the planning board.
No, the sewer department. I mean, the water department. George sent a letter.
That he approved the plan
That he
we
approved
had.
the new plan. It
It
said,
did not say new plan. It was, I have a copy of the letter.
if you have a copy of the letter, do you have it with you?
No, I don't have it with me. I can go
Okay.
back to the office in a few minutes.
If you can, I mean, not that it matters, but it said the new plan, because it was a new plan for the new, no, it said the changes that were made. They made changes on the 2nd. I wasn't aware of this, because it was made without anybody knowing, including you guys, apparently. So that got sent back to someone, because George wrote a letter on March 7th. That was the 2nd that they made those requests on the planning board. George wrote a letter back, and it says, a new letter was presented, that we approved this plan. Therefore, that they got all their letters in place, and on the 16th, which is on this plan right here, as you can see, they signed the new plan. The planning board, once again, I wasn't at that meeting. So it was signed on the 16th with all the new changes. That's when they changed the detention pond, the water line, all of that stuff. That's when on the 2nd meeting, I think that's when they made the request to move the hydrant down 800 feet. In the 11th hour, as David Haynes, I spoke with him today, I'm trying to help all of us in making all the calls to find out where the ball got dropped. It didn't get dropped on our end, because we came in on the 4th of July, or 2nd of July, and bought the project, completely permitted, completely ready to go, set to go. And now I'm finding out, well, this expired and that expired, and I wish somebody had told us that in
That's,
September, October. Well, David, no, in July we bought it.
But it had already expired March
Right,
20th.
but when we met with the sewer department, don't you think somebody said, hey, you guys gotta look at, we don't have any permits.
The
I
guys
don't know.
wouldn't
the guys,
I
the
would-
guys working
right.
out in the trenches don't.
I would have known that, because
Don't
I was
keep track
told
of
that
all that.
we had them all.
Well,
I mean, I don't think
we don't
that's-
keep track of what day everybody's permit expires. It's up to
Right.
the owner.
But in a big
to
project
come
like
into the
this,
board.
we wouldn't have.
I don't care if it's a $40 million
Yeah,
project.
I'm just
We're
saying-
not gonna keep track and say, oh, we
Right.
better keep up with them and let them
No,
know their
I
permits are
agree,
gonna expire.
I agree. And that's, honestly, the permitting is not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. I don't wanna make, a big deal over what it is. If it is what it is, that's, if they expired, they expired. If they're documented and they expired on the 20th, there's nothing we can do about it. you know, we should have maybe looked into that, shame on us. So, I mean, we can adjust that per lot when we're moving forward, so that's fine. Honestly, the attorney should have picked that up, you know, on my point, you know, I think the buyer's attorney should have picked that up, but it got missed. So our biggest concern is what we all were here for last week for, was the water line, and what do you wanna do with that? What are we gonna do, and how do you wanna handle that? I think that's the main concern.
Gate the water line. Leave it there for any future possibility that you guys might, or whoever might want to tie in, or we may want to tie in someday, cap it off, remove the hydrant out of there. You know, it's a low pressure area.
Right.
It's a plague with problems in that area as far as fire protection goes.
I agree.
I've already got hydrants on the street. Fortunately, they can't even supply a fire truck adequately. That's how low the pressure is there.
Right.
So that'd be my recommendation to the board, is just first one, the gate, stage one, the gate, the water end of things right there.
I thought that's what we agreed to last.
Yeah,
last
I
meeting.
think so, that's what we talked about.
You talked about last week, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, just
And I
leave
think
it.
we all kind of agreed that that would be the best solution, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. We'll take the hydrant right out, we'll cap it, I'll work with Georgia, whatever you want us to do with it, you know, however we want to put the caps, protect it, whatever we do, we'll do. You know, I don't have a problem with that. Just, you guys know it's there, if it ever needs to be accessed, it's there. You know, I mean, that's fine with me. The only request that I asked, you know, if you guys vote on this tonight, which I believe is why we're here, because we couldn't vote
Right.
on that last week.
Right, because it wasn't an
Right, because we didn't have an
agenda.
official meeting. The only thing that I'm requesting of this board is that it has to go through the proper channels to get an amendment on the subdivision, which I'm not sure, you know, that's, because in the subdivision that's approved, it shows it down there. So, I mean, that would be something, whether it's an internal thing that has to be done, does it have to go in front of the fire department again? I would imagine it probably would. But in my opinion, I think you guys kind of have the say over what goes on in the water line.
Yep.
And the pressure. So, I mean, that's something I think you guys have to handle, not me.
I have, we're on the agenda for next Wednesday night's meeting of the planning board. So our whole commission doesn't, I asked to be placed on the agenda so that we could deal with all of this. And,
Could we send them a letter beforehand so they know what's coming?
yep.
Through the chair, is that something I need to go to? I don't think so, right? I'd rather not, because
No.
I think that's an internal thing.
That is an internal issue.
Okay, perfect. As far as the fire department, the planning board will handle that, correct?
We'll,
All right.
yeah, that's an internal issue.
As long as I get a letter stating that there was an amendment on the plan, I'm good with that. Like I said, 2 years down the road, and we're trying to get this turned over to the town road, you know, I
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're all on the same page now, so you're not running into issues, or I'm not running into
Another,
issues.
yeah. No, we don't want to have another one of those.
Yeah, and I know that happens all over the place. I've been building for a long enough time, so. Obviously, we're not gonna take action on anything until all this is resolved, so we'll hold off until we get to
Okay.
it.
Okay, so that, yeah, we,
You haven't,
did we? No, we didn't, because it was all brought up under citizens'
Yeah,
comments.
we couldn't vote on anything.
Yeah, so,
we got a letter from Graves Engineering about the sewer part of it.
yeah, we'll deal with that once we get done with the water line.
Do we need a motion to,
The,
Not connect to the water?
Right. Yes, we'll need to vote that so that we can, make it official, and then, we'll speak with, the planning board. And what's the pleasure? Anybody wanna make a
the
motion?
motion to not have Lion Road Estates connect to the water system?
And secure the existing line per water department specifications.
Okay. Just, okay. Okay, motion's been made.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. So we've got, and we'll have to have, do whatever needs to be done to amend that subdivision. I know there's, that was part of the conversation with, the planner.
I think that's a minor amendment too, so it's not a public hearing, it's not anything like that, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
minor.
not, doesn't constitute opening the.
No.
The,
No,
The
Public
whole-
comment.
because I made minor
conversation, no.
amendments
No,
on
it's
like the
just-
paving and
no.
this and that, it's
Right.
just a, it's kind of a vote.
I mean,
so
it's a
that-
one-off, you know, it
Right.
won't affect subdivisions going forward.
Right, okay.
So, okay, so the, second, well, why don't we deal with the permit issue, next? What, how are we gonna, so your permits have basically have expired. They expired in March of 2020. Any number of reasons why, and that's right around the time that COVID started getting really bad, and
Yeah,
they started shutting everything down to virtual meetings. For whatever reason, they didn't get renewed.
I don't think you guys are renewed.
How do we want to deal with that?
I,
All the time.
What's that?
We were here all the time during it.
Oh, you were, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, you were, yeah, that was Board of
That was
Health.
good.
yeah, you have to be here.
So how do
I
we
mean, the
wanna-
funds were paid, the funds are sitting somewhere in an account that have to be utilized
Yeah,
for
but the-
something.
well-
the funds are forfeited after the year expires. I mean, that's a non-refundable permit fee.
Well, actually,
And,
in converted with what we were talking about when you folks arrived, we were talking about amending our policies for renewals and connection fees and such. So we happen to have from back in April of 2019,
The fees
these minutes were posted on April 26th, but March 6th of 2019, we had voted to, that permits were valid for a period of 1 year from the date of approval, and extensions may be requested prior to their expiration. If an extension is granted, the current permit fee will be due at the time of approval. So the permit fees are
Reoccurring.
are paid with each renewal. Did we put it, well, that's not for this time anyways.
So I was under the assumption, David, and when I talked to him today, he was like, when he paid that $7,500 for this, he was under the assumption that that was to make everything okay. You know, and I've been through this process before.
For a donation.
The purpose,
Yeah.
the purpose of the 7,500 was to pay a portion, not even that much of
It was a
it, a
donation
small
because of
portion
the
of
fact
the
that the
pump station
attic houses.
that didn't have backup power supply. So with the additional houses contributing to that pump station, and with no backup generator,
Right,
would back up and overflow before we had time to get up there and connect the generator, a portable, so if there's one on site,
right.
it can handle the additional flow without causing.
With an
a-
automatic.
Right.
However it was worded, you know, I know how that all works. So, I mean, whatever it was, he paid the $7,500 to get it
Right.
to go through. And in his mind, you know, that was like, because he said, no, I did this, I did that, you know, we're good, we got all our permits in place, everything's all set. Okay, great, thanks, Dave.
Well, you had the permits in place up until March.
Now, I would assume that he would have gotten a renewal. Now, there's been no renewal funded, no nothing. Right.
He's gotta come in for an
Well,
asphalt
not him,
renewal.
not him anymore.
Yeah.
No, he would have,
Yeah.
no, he
Yeah,
would have
would've
had
to have come back.
I couldn't have
And we
renewed
never
that.
saw him again. We never saw him again.
No.
There's no way I could have renewed that because this expired in March.
Right.
There was a
And-
lot of delays with his program.
Oh, I agree,
It was
George.
extreme.
Yeah, he wasn't prepared in a lot of meetings, and I've been, because we were on the other end going, chomping at the bit to get this thing started.
And you
So, I mean,
can't-
I agree, but if he didn't,
You couldn't extend it
I
after
couldn't
it
extend
expired,
it
so
after
you-
it expired, so my hands were tied
Right,
from the
so-
minute we bought it
So yours would have been you had to come in for a new permit,
for new permits.
which is essentially the same because the fee's the same,
Right,
so.
but he kind of assured us that, and I want to double check with that through the council, that he he had counsel too. I want to make sure that nothing fell through the cracks, because he was assuring me that everything is good.
Yeah, if he
Everything was
implied to
paid.
you, I would talk to your town council,
Yeah.
or your council.
Our council, and I want to review that. It is what it is, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and get in a debate with you guys, by no means. I'm not trying to do that. I just want to make sure that, where do we stand? You know, with him, as far as what we did and what was guaranteed, that he breached the contract of what he was supposed to do.
Yep.
You know, just to see where we're at on that, and that's it. If we got to renew the permits, we got to
At
do it.
at this point, all of the permits need to be renewed.
Yeah.
Where you're building the houses, there's no doubt that they're gonna be.
Right. You know, until it's resolved, if we got.
What, the reason for for this whole policy to have been put in place over the years is that we'd get folks that would come in, get permits, and then sit on them for
Right.
5, 6,
I
7,
know.
8 years in some cases.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, okay, we're trying to move forward with other folks, and we've still got these permits hanging
Right.
out there.
That were never
Are they
used.
ever gonna connect?
Correct.
And,
Okay.
on the water side, it's much more critical.
Right.
But on the sewer,
I'll adjust that with him, and I'll just
Sewer, yes.
inform the board and let you know where we're at.
Yep.
And just like I said, I just want to run through where we're at.
so
'cause
we
he
need
assured me
to basically renew, how many? 18? 18
Yeah.
homes?
Yeah. I mean, that's not a cheap expense.
No.
By no means. So, I mean,
No,
and once again, back then, I don't know whether COVID rules and regulations played into part, because everything was closed.
Part
You know?
of, well, the town hall, the departments were still open, they were still
Yeah.
available. There were still people here, even though the doors themselves were locked.
And
You
when
could
did-
access folks
do you know when they
by
closed the doors?
telephone.
They closed,
It's more like June, wasn't it? Wasn't
Oh,
it later in the process? Things
It was
actually
towards-
totally closed?
The last meeting was the 16th.
second week of April, I think, they closed, but it wasn't closed, it was.
Right,
you
it had to
could
go to
It was
call,
closed to the
remote.
public, you could call,
and you could come and we would
Right.
meet you down in the.
meet you in the lobby, that's why
in
the desk
lobby.
got placed in the lobby.
But up until March, everything was still open, normal business.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I think March 16th, when they got this all signed, was like the last public meeting he had. Because they had another one after.
It might
I just
have-
remember that. I
it
just remember
might
him
have
saying,
been.
oh, we just got it in before they closed, so.
But
Before
again,
we,
if
before we went
if
to
March
Zoom.
16th, he had a meeting that he got it in at, he would have had to have his permit renewed by March anyway, so
Exactly.
everything was still open. He he
Right.
should have came in April
I agree.
to
Yeah,
renew the permit.
and he didn't, so I'm not that happy about that.
Well-
You know, and I gotta adjust that, you know, on my end, so, and I will. I mean, that's, you guys have a policy, that's what it is. If this is when he paid, if he shows me, I wrote the check here,
Okay.
it didn't renew, then that's my issue to deal with.
So we need to renew 18 permits?
Well, he can't renew it. Well, yeah,
Oh,
he's
no,
gotta-
there'll be new
Give
permits.
approval for 18
18.
connections for line, for the suicide, because he's not using water.
Right.
Right? Am I in the-
Correct.
Okay. Make a motion to allow Lions Road Estate, 18 permits.
What's the name of your it's not Lions Road
I'm
Estates
sorry.
anymore?
It's Lions Estates.
It is still Lions
Yep.
Estates?
Truman Ave is still Truman Ave?
Truman Ave, yep. Yeah, we didn't change anything.
I thought you changed the name of the,
Nope.
must have been the other one. Lions Estates and Truman Road.
Motion for Lions Estate, 18 approval connections for sewer.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? That will be unanimous. I mean, that's pretty easy. We had 18 there before.
Yeah.
It's just the same 18. It's just, we need to get those. So
Just
get the
so-
paperwork done and the what's it, 5 days, 7 days?
Seven business days.
7 business days.
So the
Get the
approval is
paperwork,
valid
okay.
for a period of 1 year with an expiration date of June 15th, 2022. The 18 sewer permit fees of $350 for a total of $6,300 will be due within 7 days of the approval. That's
Okay,
required.
thank you. That's where I was going.
So just so you know, it goes by the date of the approval and not when the check was cashed.
Okay. So I need this letter from David. Do you have a copy of this letter from David?
Not here, back in the office.
Can I get it tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I need a copy of this letter,
Yep.
when
Okay.
this was all
I
done.
had it last week, but I don't,
But-
I must have put it back.
I still question that letter,
Yeah,
just because none of it lined up to me from when I looked at it.
yeah.
Right, when you were saying that, it was different as
One part of it said Jesse Road.
And it's because, and I looked back through, when you had the meeting, I guess, it was whomever, it was Jesse Road was on with the development, so there must have been, she did one letter and then did the next
cut and
letter and
paste,
left
cut and
Jesse
paste the
Road
Scrivener's
in
error,
there.
yeah.
But
Right,
still,
but
on that one letter, I was listening to you last week on it, and it didn't make any sense.
Right,
It
but
was a
and the
different
second part of
project.
that was that it was Lori, and I wasn't on any meetings with Lori.
Right, and you
She,
weren't here for David.
right, and my
Yeah.
name was up top, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know
that
how any of
changed.
that.
So that-
I don't know, but I do have the hard, and it does say
Hard copy
Jesse,
signed,
yeah,
okay.
the hard.
Therefore, I would like copies of all that letter, because I've just gotta review that.
Absolutely.
Before I
have the
spend
original
$6,000.
hard copy. That was
Right.
pulled off the computer, but I have the original hard copy in
Right.
David's file.
And if I will stop by tomorrow and get that.
Yep, absolutely.
18 permits, okay, and then, the other concern was the sewer main is already in place
Yes,
down the road.
yep,
Laterals are going off to the various lots.
yep, all marked.
So when they dig up those anyway, you'll be able to see some of the way it was covered and put
Yep.
in.
Yeah, we got the go-ahead, we were informed, I mean, that didn't go in overnight. I mean, that took a couple of weeks to put in, and we were in touch with the sewer department while we were doing that. You know, we went over it with them, met them, because we had to go over the top part, the whole section, how we were gonna do it, whether we were gonna run, the electric lines, the water lines, we kinda went over it in detail of how we're gonna do it, and there's no manholes, there's no structures, and, it was kind of, all right, go ahead and put it in.
so when was that put in?
That was probably put in, I would think in October. September, October last year.
Okay, so we can view at least some of it.
Just for the record, we have pictures of every single thing that you need. If anyone needs a documentation, many pictures of every aspect of this whole build, we have everything on document.
Yeah, we did ask
So-
if you had copies of those. We
I do,
didn't get those.
and I can provide those to you, absolutely.
Okay. Because
The
if,
letter we got from Graves Engineer,
Yeah, the
said they
grade-
didn't inspect it.
Graves Engineer was up there about every other day for a while. They were coming up quite a bit.
Did you meet with them on site? Were you there?
I was there for most of the visits that they were up there. Dan from Graves Engineering was there.
we got a letter from them after our last meeting,
Yeah,
and stating by them that they did not at any point inspect specific sewer lines.
right.
And they said that, actually, in it said,
Yeah, so it says it looks like the sewer must have been done between October and April.
It was in October, because we didn't do any, we were all done all that. Because we were ready for paving December 1st.
yes, and nor is it customary for us to do so. We understand
Yeah.
that for any project, water or sewer utilities are inspected by the water and sewer department.
And that's correct. We didn't call them for an inspection of the sewer line or the water line, but they were up there inspecting our grades, our backfills, everything that we were doing throughout the entire
Compaction.
draining, compaction tests. I had to send out soil compaction tests, we sent them out and had that done. We did meet, as I said, we met with George up there, we met with the sewer department up there, and they said, you know what, you guys are good to go. Because there's no sewer manholes, there's no nothing, it's just a 2-inch force main, 4 feet in the ground. We had plenty of sand on site when we were ready to do it,
Is it
I mean,
2-inch force main or a 3-inch force main?
it's 3-inch, whatever was required to put in. So, I mean, we got all the proper stops, everything done, everything was bought right from Windwater and shipped from them, so I mean, all of our structures were bought from them, all our drainage, sewer, water. We ran
Okay, so
all,
what, any recommendations or any wishes on?
Right now, where he's at, we're still gonna have the ability to inspect the laterals coming off every time he ties into a home. He's got some pictures, which would be helpful.
we can open up the laterals anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we're gonna tie in, we'll call for an inspection anyway.
I would specifically say that as of right now, before anything is done, we go up there and take a good look at everything that's been done so far, when the first house is put in line, we inspect that, and, you know.
You have
keep- go down.
pictures of the trench and the pipe in the,
Yeah.
in the trench?
Yeah,
'Cause
that'll be.
right now, we don't know what's in the ground.
Okay.
Like I said last week, you could have put paper straws in there.
Yeah.
And we don't know,
Well-
and then once we accept all of that, now
When they say, you know, are we good to go, and they say, yep, you guys are good to go, I'm not gonna say, you know, we're under the gun. We had to get this thing in and done for paving in November. I'm not gonna call, and even George said, nope, you guys are good to go. Here you go, here's to do it. I assume we're good to go.
So who are you calling for inspections? Are you
I
calling?
just call the water department, or call whoever,
Are you calling the office? 'Cause I don't know, that's why I'm just trying to
that's all I
figure
know.
out.
I just call, you know, I didn't call for, when they said, what do we need to do for inspections?
Right, I'm just
They said-
wondering who you're calling and
Yeah.
contacting, because she has no record of anything
Yeah.
on the office.
Until the
And-
last, when I talked to you last.
Yeah, because we called for that, because they said the next thing we need to do is when you get the sewer line in, call for a pressure test. So what did I do? We got it all in. I called for a pressure test. And you said, we can't do that because we don't have permits. I'm like, we were told, once it's all in, call for a pressure test. So it's all in and done, we called for a pressure test. We're kind of doing what we were told. Maybe we should have, you know, something, a little structural basis on what we should have called for, but we're just doing basically on, you know, what we're doing. Matter of fact, like I said, we're doing Dudley Hill right now. I called, what do you guys want to, I called a couple times. What do you want to inspect? Do you want to inspect the line? I called with the water department. Are you sure it's a 3/4 inch line for water and not 1 inch like everybody's used? Because before we put it in, I don't want to do.
That's good that you're calling us to make sure.
I
we're
called to
inspected.
make sure, because we've never put in, I haven't put a 3/4 inch water line in 10 years. And we build in 35 different towns, no one has. So I double checked, I called you, I said, are you sure?
Yep,
And I think my son called you too.
Yes, and I-
My son called, and then I called, and you called, George, said, nope, I checked with George's. So we try to, even with the Liberty pump we just put in, what do you guys want to inspect? I called you, George. We called you twice. You guys went right up there in the morning, said, well, you're not ready yet. I go, I just called you. You know, we're just starting it today, so I called you back in the afternoon. Yeah, they went right up in the morning, I'm like, we gotta, you know, we put the tank in, but then I called you back, so we got the sand. So we're pretty, you know, we're not new at this game, and I don't wanna do things twice.
But I would just recommend
Right.
calling for all your inspections
No,
through
which
the
is
office.
fine.
That way she documents it.
If they said, when we met with them, Bob, it said, look, if you get it halfway done, do it. If you get it halfway here, do it. Graves Engineering said that. They gave us exactly what they wanted to see.
Right.
Every time we're doing all the infrastructure for the conduit, I had to call Keith Pettit from National Grid.
Yep.
You put in this, you put in that, you put in that, you call me. Before you put this in, leave the trench open, you call me. So, I mean, we made the calls, but if somebody says, you know, go ahead, you guys are good to go, if you said call us every 20 feet, we would have called you every 20 feet. But we
I'm
didn't
just-
have that, so I
I'm
mean.
just
it's-
saying that,
Well, excuse me.
good.
Something was amiss, not a
Right.
miss, I'm take that back. Something was missed, and the problem is, there's pipe in the ground, and we
Right.
never saw it.
Right,
So, as a board, I think, well, personally, how do I accept that,
right.
not seeing it?
Right, I mean, we weren't asked to show it, that's the thing, and we didn't know, so I mean, we do have pictures, so we have everything to verify it, and when we do our laterals, like George said, we open them up, you know, we'll dig them back, we ran them onto the property quite a bit. I have pictures of all of the laterals run everywhere, so we can see everything that's put in the ground. We have all the slips of all the sand we bought, what type of sand we put in, everything. I mean, we keep very detailed records, and I take pictures of everything, just in case something like this happens. Because I've seen it before, where, and it's no one's fault, it's just a miscommunication on what we thought and what you guys had suggested. If you say you're good to go, put the water line in or put the sewer line in, we're good to go. If you said, call us tomorrow, you knew we were doing it, then, you know, I mean, I would think that if we're putting it in, we're going to put it in the next 5 days. And we got it all in and done, and now we're ready for a compaction. Call us when it's in, when you're ready for your compression test, so we can test it to make sure the lines aren't leaking.
Yep.
We're gonna open up, there's another point, George, we'll open it up.
Yep.
We'll open up the end of the road, we'll dig it back, because we gotta put the compression test and fill it, so you guys can inspect it then, right there.
I wanna do a full, Mike and I wanna do a full inspection of that whole thing, including the hydrants set up and everything.
Yeah,
Gates and everything, because some of the gate, we wanna keep the gate maybe there, or the.
yeah, we're only, we're not gonna dig, that's on
You're
the road.
not gonna dig up the road to get.
Yeah,
rid
not
of
gonna
it.
do
No,
it.
no.
All we'll do is take the hydrant out and cap it, leave the
Yeah.
gate right there,
Yeah.
and we put that in for that future use, in case you ever wanna, you don't know, if you guys could, better pump system down the road, you might
So,
run it down.
What I would recommend to the board right now is upon what they know as far as inspections by us going forward, plus pictures and everything, will they accept that as, or will they'll decide something else to go? But that's just the thing at hand right now. Because you've got, if you do have the pictures that you can present,
Yep.
things like that, it's gonna be helpful.
And believe me, I'm not suggesting that you put straws in the ground.
No, I'm
It's
not,
just-
I'm being,
It's just
Being
to cover
concerned.
us.
I
that
understand
When we're
100%.
not here
Right,
20 years from now and there's a
Yeah.
problem,
right.
if, you know, they're gonna look back and say, was this approved?
So here's what I'll provide. I'll provide the invoices of the materials that we bought. So you'll have that. I mean, we have to do that when we put a septic system in.
Yep.
I have to provide to the Board of Health, all the sand we bought, all the washed stone we bought. What did we put in for pipe and tanks? I mean, I give you the invoices of what we bought from Windwater, verified for Lions Estates. I show you the pictures of what we have. I mean, what else can you ask for? We
Right,
do that
that's-
now on building permits, where guys can't, when during COVID,
Right.
half the building inspectors in all the towns just said, just send us a picture. You know, so we've done that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good that you took all the pictures, because
Yeah.
otherwise, I mean, I'd be looking at it saying either, we gotta dig it up and inspect it, or we gotta have.
And
a
we
pic-
are gonna dig up the end to do the test.
Right, so I mean, at least then George can verify that whatever you say is in the ground.
And that was
is in
the
ground.
suggestion of the sewer department. You know, to dig it up to when you're ready, call us, dig it up, and pressure test it. So that's when I called.
So-
And that's when all this opened up.
Without knowing the big mess that happened and.
Right.
Yeah,
and
we'll
Who
have to
saw
go through the
what.
whole thing from top to bottom, see what was done, how it was
Yeah.
done, then go forward, like we said,
Yeah.
take each step at a time.
so,
It was done right.
okay.
How do you wanna proceed, Mr. Chairman?
What do we normally accept, we don't run into this very often.
You
Where-
still have
where
to
you
make
got
a
a main-
motion to.
Accept the main, accept the
accept
main,
that.
contingent on
Contingent upon, you know,
George's inspection.
Inspection and-
inspection of what's inspectable
Yeah.
at this point.
yeah, what the evidence presented is, if you wanna use that terminology, for the sewer infrastructure of Lions Road Estate.
And you can't accept it, George, so we do a pressure test anyway.
No,
So we gotta get that.
we still have to go through all that process there, but.
Right.
Right,
Oh, yeah,
but
the
it-
pressure
At
test
least-
will,
Permission, right?
Everything is contingent upon those sewer doing inspections and making sure everything's up to snuff.
Yeah,
That's because a lot of things get open-ended sometimes.
Right.
We don't know.
I don't like open-endedness.
No, I know we don't.
well,
either,
that's,
believe me.
then you're
Unless it
gonna
was a
pressure
permit.
test it as well, so.
Yeah.
That's what we were trying to do.
That'll
We were
help.
trying to do that last week,
Right.
and when I called, like I said, you said, well, you can't, you don't have permits.
Okay, so,
Okay.
starting the permit process now anyway, so that'll be done, once the paperwork is done. And then, yeah, we're gonna,
So do you wanna
Accept-
make a
accept.
motion to accept the Lions Estate
sewer main.
sewer main as presented?
Infrastructure plan.
Right.
As presented at the meeting, upon review
Upon,
of the,
yeah, upon.
Contingent upon,
contingent upon review by the sewer department, inspections and protocols of inspection. Something to that
I'll
effect.
second that.
And provided copies of
Yeah.
the data that the contractor
Okay.
suggested.
so, okay. So we wanna see, we wanna, some of, you're gonna review photos and.
Yeah,
And what you can do.
Tom, you'll be in,
what you can
you call Jen directly, let us know what you have, when you plan on, so we can get somebody over there, we can all look at it.
Well, when we're doing the individual houses, we gotta call for permits anyway, so we're gonna, you
But
have
we'd
to
like
call
to see the
you.
whole setup right now.
Okay.
Just to see what,
Yeah.
get an idea of what
Review
exactly
the,
is.
review, take a look at the pictures and make sure.
Yeah, so we can see, but we'll have a meeting where we go through everything first, what's there, what we
Yeah.
can see,
Okay.
pictures, all that stuff, and then,
I assume
take
you
it
don't
one
have
step.
as-built plans.
Pictures and invoices.
you know,
Can I request, Mr. Chairman, and get us copies of the pictures we can keep with the plans?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That-
definitely.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
We need a copy of the new plan. We do not have.
you have that plan, don't you?
This is the Mylar, so the town gave me this back.
We need
So
a
these-
copy.
Bill
You
should
have the
have this.
architectural plan with everything that was.
Bill should have this in the office, he
He
has
has
it.
one for planning, but we don't have one, and we only have the old plan in water sewer.
So you need a, okay.
Bill
Shouldn't the
might have a
town-
new revised plan, I'm not sure, I did see
Bill
him
should have
in
that.
that plan, but I
He
can't remember
does.
if it was the one with the hydrant at the top or.
Not in our office, we don't. He
No.
has.
Bill should have it.
Bill
Okay.
has it.
Bill should have that plan.
We don't
The
have
town-
anything for our own records.
No, we have to get that plan. We'll have to
Right,
make sure we have
I would
that.
suggest that Bill makes a copy of his plan and gets it over to you guys. I mean,
It shouldn't vary from the original anyway, except for the hydrant thing, which was not.
it should be, it's the signed plan. He has to have a signed plan,
Yeah,
I would think,
yeah.
in the office. And if he doesn't, let me know. I mean, I
So the
get
plan they
you.
have is from the original,
The one we have.
originally, yeah, but
we don't have a-
we're negating that anyway.
We don't have
so
a plotter to
it's-
be able to print something like that on.
You still want a plan showing that that pipe is in the ground.
Right.
See,
The
like,
architect,
again,
you might just have to make a,
because normally, like, so if you had been informed that David, his permit's expired and you came, even if you hadn't, you know, if you came to request, you'd have to present a plan to us, because you're the new owner and we only have David's plan.
Okay.
And the new plan that was accepted by the planning board is your plan, or variation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it got changed,
put
yep.
the pipe in it, I guess, so they can identify.
It just seems a little, not to be disrespectful, but kind of ass backwards as far as, the planning board proved this plan. And
Right.
nobody has copies of anything. I mean, it's just, all we did was go in and buy an approved plan that was done, and I don't know why copies
But the
didn't get
approved
put to
plan
it.
is not,
The
it was the
approved
old
plan-
owner, we need a copy.
No, the approved plan from the planning board. I don't get involved in getting approved by I don't get approved, I never have gone into.
We
a
understand
sewer
what you're
commission.
saying.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, water, sewer's supposed to approve these things in advance.
For the
Everything
planning
moves
board.
for the planning board
Yeah,
down,
you guys-
once we sign off.
You sign off and it
It
goes
didn't.
to the planning board. When I get to the planning board, I never go in front of a sewer
No.
commission for a subdivision.
Right.
Ever. I
Right.
go to, that's all internal makeups. When I go to a planning board meeting, you guys have already
No.
approved it.
Well,
Yes.
the way, yeah, but somebody wants water and sewer, they come to us with a plan and we okay it.
Right.
And then it goes to the planning
That
board.
was done before yes, and it went to the planning board. That got sold. That got sold as a subdivision. We're all done with that.
Yeah.
We don't get involved in a sale of a subdivision.
No,
We
I
never
know that.
have. We
But-
never have.
But this plan is,
But
that
when-
subdivision,
But when the planning board agreed to asked to make changes to it and made changes to the water sewer aspect of it, that should have come back to us.
And they're saying
And
it
That's
did.
where the failure was.
They're saying it did because they have a letter on March 7th that it was approved, that the new.
It was approved by them, it wasn't approved by
No,
us.
no,
yeah.
from George, it was approved, the new plan, and like I told George last week, who's gonna look for a fire hydrant change if no one presented it? If they made a change in the planning board, didn't tell anybody, and like I wasn't even aware of it, because I didn't look at the plan until July, once we bought it,
Okay,
so, like I
So-
said, it's, water under the bridge now, we can't
so,
go back
yeah,
and
we
change
can't
it.
undo it.
Yeah.
So the sewer main, we need to, so we're gonna approve that. So who's making the motion? Well, is a motion been made?
Yeah, I made a
You made a
motion, George,
Okay,
Tom,
Tom
I
approved it,
I second.
seconded it, okay.
and we all voted for it.
Yesterday,
Based on-
yesterday was
Oh, yeah,
election day
discussion.
and it just was,
Ah.
That
It
was
was-
based
it was-
on approval of the
Right,
invoices and the pictures that we can
by the
inspect.
superintendent, right?
and there was no vote taken yet.
No.
Yes.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. There was, let's see, don't think there's any other,
So, George, have you, about the connection fee?
For the sewer extension,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the other thing is connecting a
Oh,
sewer
okay,
extension.
all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a-
so let me give you a copy. This is the application that we give out. This is and this is the pay, everything, so this is what he's gonna be talking about.
For each house,
Yep, every time you.
yeah, every time you
wanna
hook a
connect,
house, yeah, this is
You have to
standard.
bring that into me.
So standard
Did
three-bedroom
Dave
house is
Payne's
30.
pay for the sewer connection for extending the sewer main?
Right, he didn't pay for these.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't have,
Right, because there's a fee for actually extending the main.
He paid for that, though.
Right.
That's like
Oh, no, they said nothing.
$12,000 for that. I don't think he paid for that.
no,
did he?
I don't have.
He's gotta pay for that.
he may have, like I said, he was kinda all over the place, so I don't know what he paid for.
Well, this is,
I have no, and I did go back through my turnovers.
Yeah,
we bought a plan all approved by the town, and everything was paid for by David, according, even the planning board said that, whatever. We looked at, when we hook up a single-family home, so you're telling me that I have $6,000 to hook up this, and $12,000 to hook up, so you're talking $18,000 plus $3,500 a house. So you're talking a $30,000 difference on something that,
Unless he's got a canceled check for the,
well, I need to, I gotta.
Absolutely, if he can find one.
If he can
How
prove that he
come-
paid
how
it.
come- How are we allowed to move forward on this project with all this coming up when we did this last October? When we met all you guys up there. We had a pre-construction meeting.
Well, you met with a sewer operator, not the board.
I never would meet with the board. Why would I meet with the board? I have a pre-construction meeting.
But you didn't have an approved permit.
Everybody was there, the sewer department, the water department. No, I'm saying my pre-construction meeting. I was required to have a pre-construction meeting with a representative of the sewer department, with a representative of the water department, which represents the sewer commission, at the
No, it
pre-construction
doesn't, no.
meeting. I don't know, I wasn't asked to go on any other board.
And a pre-construction meeting is to go over.
We're starting-
the intricacies of
What we're
what's
doing.
going on when you do construction. Are you shutting down roads? Are you
It was, we
traffic
had
control?
to, we had
Is
to do
there-
this before we started construction, and we did. I called for a meeting, we met with everybody was on board, we knew exactly what we were doing and where we were going. We're saying we're starting immediately. Boom, no problems with anyone. Now all of a sudden, all these things are coming up, and you guys are throwing numbers at me that are ridiculous, that are, oh, this wasn't done, and this wasn't done, and you didn't get this approved. Everybody knew what we were doing, we had a meeting, and we went over it all.
Not
I don't
everyone,
meet, well, I'm not obligated to meet with the sewer commissioner, commission board, I mean.
but you are to get approval of a plan.
Not when I have a plan that's already approved.
It's not approved because the permit expired.
Then there's internal makeups that are wrong in this, because when I got a planning board signed
There
off
was
by the
a-
planning board, it's signed off that all the sewer's approved, all the water's approved, and this is an approved subdivision by the planning board. Maybe we should all sit in a planning board together collectively, so we're not batting heads against each other, because they're telling me one thing, you're telling me another thing, and it's crazy. When you go in and you sit in a planning board and you buy an approved subdivision, and it's signed off, and you got letters that the sewer department approved it, this person approved it. I don't know what you guys looked at, but somebody got a letter and said it's okay, so we can move forward.
problem is, there's a lot of third-hand and fourth-hand communication going on here.
Right.
Because you're not there physically seeing all this, and somebody's telling you, well, we did this, and all of a sudden now we go to the planning board, and we got a revised thing for the hydrant, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is we only had started off with that original plan. Dave Henskett coming up here giving us all these little paper plans of what he planned, but he never went through and finished it off. There was a long gap.
All I know
long
is
gap.
I have a signed plan by the planning board. This is the recorded plan at the registry of deeds, with this line on it that was supposedly approved by all of the boards. Not Tom Ravane, not David Haynes, but by all the boards. They all had to look at it and send it in. If they didn't, somebody dropped the ball and didn't do that,
But like, you say you got a signed thing. She just gave you a signed letter saying that we approved connection to sewer. Now, if you walk out of here and you don't come in within that 7 days and pay it,
Yeah.
you have a thing saying it's approved. I approved it. How come I can't connect? Because I got approval. But you didn't pay the fee, so that negates the permit.
that's because they were supposed to be all taken care of and approved. I mean, approved design, approved everything on this plan.
That's what you're saying. But if the fee wasn't paid, then the
I'm
approval
not
is no
trying to be
longer
disrespectful, but
valid.
I disagree with what you're saying. I've done this a lot and been with more
So-
counsel
So
than
you
can
think
agree
if
with.
you walk out of here with
No, I know
with
this-
that permit that we just signed?
No, I know this had
And
to
you
be
said
done.
you call or you catch one
Well,
of
I'm not
the
arguing
sewer
with you on
operators
this,
on
but I'm
it?
telling you right now that this, yeah, I have to do this now because David dropped the ball.
Right, but
Not
what
you
I'm
guys.
saying is, under this scenario,
Right.
if you have that permit and you say, I've got a signed permit, and now you walk out of here and you sell this project to someone else, and they say, oh no, he told me he paid for everything, look, I got a
Right.
signed permit. You didn't pay the fee, so in
I
7
have
days,
to-
that
right.
permit is
I
no
have to
longer
pay the
valid.
fee for the sewer, which I
Right,
agree.
but if you can show that he paid that fee,
That's a different
then the
ballgame.
permit
Maybe-
would be a-
The thing is, it's actually in David's hands. He has to pay you what it is that he didn't
Right.
do in the first place.
Right, he didn't renew it. He spent all that money for
Yeah.
no reason, and it,
but that's not even with the renewal part. He didn't pay for the sewer extension. That's a
I
separate thing.
gotta check through all the council and all the stuff that he did.
Right, I mean, maybe he did and we're not
I
finding
mean,
it.
we have.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Galaxy has some pretty high-powered lawyers. They build hundreds of projects all over. So, I mean, they've done some pretty extensive research on all this. I'm the home builder in there. I let them handle all of this part. So, you know, I'm trying to run the project based on what they approved and what they did their research on. So I'm
David Haynes, the only thing you need to do is go see David Haynes and say, Dave, what did you get for your print? Did you get the extension fee? Because
I asked him
he
that
was
today.
given all that stuff.
I called him, he's in California, and I said, David, what's up? I gotta go to a sewer commission meeting tonight because something's going on with the sewers. I paid for everything, everything's done.
Yeah.
I go, did you pay for the individual houses? He says, no, but I paid for everything else.
That means he should have paid for that $12,000.
Exactly.
Right.
And if that
Exactly.
should he
Right.
produce.
So all you have to do is
I'd
get
like
him to
get that from
produce,
him.
I agree.
That
I'm
fee.
not, like I said, I'm not trying to argue, but this is
Yes,
just,
it's not showing up in our, that check would have gone,
I would have record of turnovers.
I was gonna
and
say, yeah,
went
you-
back through, and
yeah.
I didn't see any.
So the
so let me
only
do a
other
little
place-
research and find
I
out
have
what's
the-
what. I don't wanna sit here and go round and round. It's
Yeah,
getting
check-
late. We're all tired.
If you could check with the collector's office, and, because that's where it would have come in.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have come into us, it would have come into the collector's office.
No, it would have come into us. David would have had to come directly to me, or
Okay.
to Lori.
right, and then you do a turnover
Then you
for
turn
him.
it
And then
over.
we do a turnover down, and I have to
Yeah,
keep a
and then it
copy
goes-
of everything.
So all that went through, but you
Okay,
took
all
us
right.
$7,500 as a donation when a permit wasn't even extended?
Well,
Why would he
donation
pay?
wasn't part of the permit, the donation.
I know,
was
but
there.
why would he pay $7,500
He
for a
didn't have to
pump
do
that
the
he didn't?
donation. He did it, he has a good faith because he knew the issue with the station up there. Because then we went and had an issue with, problem with emergency services.
Because at the time, he was gonna do the development.
He was never doing the development.
Yes, he never said that to us.
Yeah,
He never said that to us.
He was
That's
never-
another big
In our
problem,
eyes,
these people that
we
don't.
The
take-
day David got it back in October, he called me, I ran into him in Price Chopper, and you know, he said, you interested? I said, yeah. So, from
Well,
that point on,
In our eyes,
yeah,
he was building it.
yeah. He wanted to keep that just because he was from town and he was kind of.
That was the problem, he kept it to himself, and now it's coming back to bite
Yeah,
him.
so, I
We
mean,
don't have all the.
all right,
all the
so
permits.
Okay.
I think we're good, right? We're all
Yeah.
good.
It's just a matter of that, that's the.
Let me do a little research, I gotta talk to council, I gotta find out
Let's
what's
find out,
what.
let's find out what's.
And let's get some facts on the table so we're
Yeah.
not all here batting our heads against each other.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe he mailed it in and they applied it to his property taxes. We have no, you know.
Who knows, they could have done that, you know. So let's get the facts down and then we'll go from there.
Let's see, main extension.
Get in contact with him, Tom, and see exactly.
Oh,
what
I,
he has.
no, you,
Yeah, sure.
Main
I'm not gonna be in my
extension,
car before I get him on the phone,
Fees.
so.
So just make sure, Jen, he knows what David was supposed to pay for.
Right, and so in the next 7 days, that $350 deposit.
The 6,000.
Yep,
Right,
and that's good for 1 year.
okay.
And are you gonna build all 18 within 1 year, or
No.
sell them?
I'd like to, we're gonna do at least half of them.
Well,
Yeah.
suggestion,
So-
if you don't get to that 18th
I'll
one,
pay for the extension.
come back before the year is up.
Which is
because-
fine, all you gotta do is tell me once and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, before the year's up, we'll get an extension on the remaining
Okay.
8 lots that we gotta do.
And we'll all be here.
Yeah.
Another year.
So,
And if he can produce that $12,000, absolutely.
okay. If I'd known all that, it would've been a different bargain. I know, I wouldn't have. Yeah.
Well, like you said, if he claimed that he had all the fees paid and permits in place, then I'd go after him
Yeah,
for.
he must have canceled checks.
Find out. Very shortly.
And if you hear back from him, he says, yeah, I gotta just give her a call and,
Absolutely.
Good
you
to
know,
know.
We're good. Yep.
Okay, thank you for, putting the meeting together quickly.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be in touch with.
All right, this is
what
so
we can get.
difficult.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Have a good one.
Okay,
back to the
policy review.
policies.
Yep.
We did,
So we've got the, yep,
Connection permit.
connection permit fee.
yeah.
Water theft policy. And actually, just so happens that
Yeah, you have the old.
the minutes from that meeting on April 26th, the first half of it, happens to be the water meter tampering policy.
Yep.
What was voted on back in, would have been March 6th. Yep, the public hearing on March 6th. revision of illegal water usage and water metering, meter tampering policies. That's what we had as of that date, and there's actually a note in there about why the fees were $300
Right.
each time, because that's all that council says we can do. So, that's what we have.
Right,
This is
so-
what we're proposing.
So let's look at that one and this one and incorporate what we need to out of that one into this one and go from there. I mean, the first offense, second offense, third offense, all being the same fee. Let's see.
Well, the fees would have to be first off changed, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't use
Yeah.
the fees that I had in there,
Right.
Okay,
just because we don't want to get in trouble. When I do it, I don't mind them taking me to court and I'll fight with them there.
okay. Shall investigate and file formal report to the water. Okay, so they're gonna report up the chain to the water superintendent.
Yeah.
Any devices found, any tampering will be immediately confiscated. Based upon the report of the superintendent or designee, shall begin a formal assessment to determine if damages have resulted based on the theft of water, okay? The superintendent will, or his designee will begin a formal
Is there
assessment.
anything,
Fines are as, that would be 300, 300, 300.
We want to add some, maybe I'm missing it, if somebody's caught, we're going to re-inspect every so often?
Yeah, I mean, you can add that. That's, I think you have that in here,
Fines
right?
for tampering, the offender will be
The
billed.
question is, if you have resistance and they do not allow you in, you're gonna have to kind of find something that, with some teeth for that. I don't know if you can,
Fines for
You
tampering.
do have the right to shut them off.
I was looking at that, I just want to make sure the
Because-
town council is good. That's a little delicate, because now you're getting into, I mean,
No, because it's,
we have a policy for shutdown if we can't get into a house for meter repair,
Right.
which kind of would fall a little bit in line with
yeah,
that same
but
basic kind of
it
thing.
falls under the easement because the
We have a
the
right to
town,
inspect our
the
equipment.
town automatically has an
So-
easement when you install a water
The town
line.
owns the town owns the meter.
So if inspection is not, if you can't go in there for any type of inspection, then that other policy is gonna fall into place, because it falls under the same premise, we can't get in there and work on
Right,
the meter.
exactly.
Or inspect it,
Right.
we already have that in place.
We-
Then policy number, whatever falls.
You tag the door and you
Yeah.
let them know, and then you send a registered letter saying that
Yes.
if by this date we have not heard from you, we will be shutting your
So
water
you
off.
can incorporate that in the fine thing as far as inspection, there'll be an inspection on the second offense.
Water and sewer.
Or
Ah, very-
first offense or whatever
I
you
think
want.
first offense. We need to get back in there and,
And staff time.
Yeah, so I mean, if we want to add something that says, they're subject to an inspection.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
To
After
determine.
first offense of proof that there's been a tampering involved, there'll be an inspection following that. If there's a second offense, we go from there.
yeah,
Well,
but
it's-
how often do we want to inspect? I don't want
Just,
to.
I don't wanna get involved in a major, going there every week or every.
You don't-
Well, we.
Inspection could ensue another year from now or something
We-
otherwise.
I think
You
we
don't-
need to do it often, because if somebody's brazen enough to screw with it, and they know you're coming back next week to check it, they're gonna leave it alone for a week. And then they're gonna go, oh, he's not coming back till next year.
with the new metering system and the ability to,
Yeah,
see
we
the
will.
metering from the street, electronically, you'll be able to just drive up in front of the house and, while they're not, and over a period of time, you see that there's no water use, you know.
There'll be an
something's-
ultrasonic meter
something
put in
is-
there for sure, and then that'll negate a lot of the tampering. We'll know right off the bat if there's some tampering.
Yeah, George, do your Neptune meters have the alarms that say empty pipe, leak detection, any of that stuff?
I believe the ultrasonics do, I have to check with Brian on that. They have the
A leak detection.
leak detection. Yeah.
So if it has the leak detection, it probably has empty pipe alarm, because there's, like, the census meter has like 18 alarms, so
Yeah.
if somebody disconnects it
Yes.
and it runs empty of
Yeah,
water,
you'll
it'll,
drain out when you're moving, doing your thing or whatever.
right, so,
What we do is we keep a watch list, Brian will, and I, and periodically we go through at least every 3 months. You know, if somebody's on my watch list, we're touching
Yeah.
base at
But
least
it-
every.
You don't wanna dictate a specific amount of
No.
time, a
It's
specific
somewhere-
period,
it's
because
somewhere
people are
in
gonna
there.
know.
Right, but I think we
It's
need
in-
to put wordage in there that we're going to inspect, so we have the option to.
We already-
always have
we
the
already
right-
have that.
We already
Right.
have that. We
We
already
have
have the right
we
to
have the right to
inspect.
go in and inspect, if we wanna do it every so many months, a month, whatever, we could do it at any time. And they, like, for a meter check.
They can come
Check
and
meter
inspect-
or whatever, they have to let us in for that. If
Okay.
they
Come
don't,
inspect my meter
then our policy
anytime.
falls into place. Then we go through the procedure, shut off, you know, certified and all that stuff, and then
And
shut
if
off.
they, if they refuse
Yeah.
you access, well, they certainly can't
I
do
put that
but
policy
then-
back a couple of
then
years
we
back,
have,
and
we
it
have the
worked.
ability to shut the water off.
Yeah. So,
Any staff time utilized in investigating an incident will be incorporated into the estimate. That's a good line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think, I don't like the part over here where it says average use is calculated based on a cost per person according to the census and the Mass DEP.
Oh, that's, yeah, that's
Average daily use
in
because-
the old one?
Yeah,
Right.
because, I mean, typically when people are stealing water, it's because they're filling a pool, it's because they're, got a grow facility going in their basement, they don't wanna pay for water in their plant so much.
well, they're excessive toilet user.
Yeah, I mean, just,
Well, then-
it's typically those things, and
Yeah,
that's
it's-
not
yeah, it's
an
not-
average use. I
It's
mean,
not,
Yeah,
you know,
people are
because
not
they're-
trying to jump-
Because they're running the dishwasher,
Right.
you know, yeah.
And the average daily use per Mass DEP is 65 gallons per day, where Title V is 110 gallons per day. So, 65 is based on Mass DEP's trying to get people to be conservative and go under that respect. And if you're looking at someone stealing, they're not stealing to be conservative.
You don't wanna be conservative, right.
Right, so I would avoid this type of language.
Right.
And go with
Well,
whatever he
anything-
determines.
Anything we initiate here will supersede.
Right, and.
Actually, is there anything, there's a, what do they call it?
Do we wanna add
Severability,
that?
severability. Do we need to put severability in any of these
No,
policies?
I would leave it up to George, because.
I don't think so.
You don't wanna base it on 110 either, because
Right.
like I said.
It could be, yeah.
And I have experience from it, because we actually ran into it where the guy had a illegal grow facility in his basement, so he bypassed the water meter, he was watering, because he didn't wanna get caught on high water usage. So he had that, he actually bypassed National Grid's electric meter, so,
Oh, yeah, so he was all about it.
yeah, he was all over trying to make it so he
And
didn't
if it was
get caught.
back a period ago, it was illegally growing as well, so.
Right, and then I had another one where they tapped into the irrigation system
Yep.
before the meter, so
Yeah.
that's using way more than,
Yeah.
what
That,
you
that
would
would be
use, so.
a more likely, I think, more likely scenario where somebody's gonna rip off water, they're gonna.
Right, filling a
tap-
pool,
they're
running the
gonna
irrigation.
outside irrigation.
So that's where you gotta kinda leave it up to George when he catches them, or
Yeah. Yep.
the department catches them. They look at it and try to determine what that line was feeding or what they were
And
doing.
then we go in for an inspection right away, and so, oh boy, now that and ultrasonic is the way to go. It's something that's really great that allow us that.
So I mean, it really has to be on a case-by-case
The
basis
town
to
may
determine
pursue-
how much water.
Would it be the town, the town would pursue criminal activity,
Yes,
not the
that-
water sewer
right.
commission. The warrant.
Actually, the police would come and
defines
investigate
additional
from our material and that and do
The
their
Water and Sewer
investigation.
Commission, upon reviewing an investigation of water theft, may determine to withdraw water service to an offending contractor after repeated violations or a threat to public health or safety. So that's in the case of a subdivision or.
Right, so, and again,
Building a
this.
series of houses,
this
they run a
is-
hose through the
Right.
houses.
And this is another one that I had in mind because it's an instance that we ran into. It was a 40B project, they're doing 133 units, and we came in and caught them half a dozen times with the Y splitters for the water line.
Is
They,
that the mill?
no,
Oh.
they tied onto a service before the house was finished being built. So they had the water line hooked up, no meter, they'd connect to it with all these Ys and had lines running all over the place. So we'd
Give them
catch
water
them.
for building, yeah.
Right, so we'd catch them and they'd pay the $100 fine, because originally it was $100. I think we had the 100, 200, 300. I wanted to make it more painful, so we went with that. And then, the 100, they're like, all right, we'll pay the fine. And we go back and the next day, be the same thing going somewhere else. They're
Cheaper to
like,
pay the fine and.
it is.
Calculation.
So, we finally put that part in there that said, all right, if you don't care about the fine, now we're gonna make it so you can't develop anymore, you know? So now you no longer can get permits to build your houses, and that, you know, obviously a contractor's gonna think twice at that point if they're
Okay,
gonna lose their ability to.
The original,
To build.
this one from 2019 under second offense, it says something about
A tamper-proof meter?
installation of a tamper-proof meter at the owner's expense. We already have tamper-proof meters, don't we?
That's
I
not-
mean, as much as they can be
Right.
tamper-proof.
Well, do you
You
do
can still
meter
unpin 'em.
seals? Do you do meter seals?
Yeah, well, we do seals, we do the
Pins.
wires, and now with the new meter system, it can't really tamper with it without us knowing. Because
Right, but
we'll
you
go
still,
back and-
you should have a tamper seal,
Yeah, we get that.
and that way
With
it's.
a wire with a.
Yeah,
Right.
we got
with
that,
a
yeah.
It used to be the lead.
Lead
They don't-
crimp,
They don't
yeah.
do the
Yeah.
lead.
Can't use
anymore.
lead
Like I
anymore,
said,
yeah.
generally, we have a serial, well, I can't, we know.
Serial
We
number.
have something, yeah.
We have things that, and what to look for.
We don't wanna,
Yeah,
Yeah. So like mine, if you, I forget what company I ordered them through, but they put the town name right on the seal.
yeah.
And then they're numbered, so you record that when you put them in, so if
Sometimes we have to
if
go
somebody
in.
happens to get a handful of them from somewhere,
right,
you know, if it's the wrong number, you
yep.
know, 'cause I'm sure there
That's
was.
that's a operations decision, that's not something
Right, that's not that we
would
need
be
to
done by
decide.
policy.
Right, so,
Yeah.
Do we wanna make a motion to accept the water theft policy number W?
Yeah, the number is,
Yeah.
The
W.
changes of the fences.
we're gonna,
Well, I like that. There's-
yeah, well, they'll all end up being numbered. I don't know that we wanna attach a number to them yet, because as they fill into a book, they're gonna, into
It's okay, we can just have I'm gonna keep you electronic, and it'll be by glossary alphabetical,
right, okay.
so you
Okay.
can flip in.
Yeah, the numbers, okay.
I just have a question. So all these policies, they can be approved here, you don't need a public hearing or anything for them, or?
these are just policies, bylaw needs to go to.
That's what I just,
Yeah.
thought, I
Yes.
just wanted
You
to
don't need
make sure
public
that
hearing
everybody
for
knew.
The,
Yeah.
Thank you.
But all we need to do is
item number 5
do
might
accept
require,
the policy and they,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
item number 5 might require a
Yes.
public,
Yes, yeah.
Public
That's why
hearing.
I was, these are fine, and
yeah, these are
you're gonna
just.
send me the template?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll send you electronic, so you can,
Perfect, I'll have electronic and paper.
and if there's a revision, like I said, you probably need to come up with a revision chart so that you
Yep.
can keep track, so when someone comes in with, you know, the old version and he says, oh, no, well, yeah, you're 3 revisions behind, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
make a
So-
motion to accept the policy, water theft policy, W001-001,
as amended.
as amended.
as amended, the amendment is the,
Dollar amount.
the fine structures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Obviously, the dates will change on the
Yeah.
bottom. But, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, okay, and the next one is, final read, final bill.
Yeah, so I think that Jen may wanna have some input on this.
Yes, that was just go in there. Do we want to, how does this, compare with our current? It should be the same as our current.
Well, I think
Or
the
something.
fee structure, I looked at a little differently, just because I know it's a.
Yes.
It's an expense to us to pull somebody off of their
Correct.
regular work data to run out because they can't properly schedule a final read,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I like the idea of adding a tiered
Last
fee
minute
based
reads.
on when it's scheduled. If it's scheduled 5 days out,
Fine.
fine. If it's not, then you call and say, we need it in 2 hours. Well,
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for
you're gonna
that.
have to pay for it, because we're pulling somebody off
Exactly.
of another
Plus, there's a meter
task.
change involved in finals too, to keep up with the meter process,
Yes.
so that's another thing, that definitely
How
takes time.
long does it take to change the meter?
All depends on if it's like a situation where there's a lot of stuff involved, and you have to move stuff, or get in stuff, or wait because they have to do it, or it could take some time, where the pipe is somewhere on the pipe,
Okay,
when you end up
so-
causing a leak.
I've had people build cabinets around them and you can't
So
get.
Yeah.
is 50 and 100 enough?
100 would be enough, definitely.
Actually,
Well, yeah,
there was
I-
three
50
structures there, so
Yeah,
there's an, even more if
So
it's,
Yeah, okay.
It's $50 normal, it's $100 if it's,
special.
if it's
Less than 5
last minute,
days.
less than 5 days.
Less than 5.
but then if it's less than 3 days.
Less than 3
it's-
days, it's $200.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do.
Yeah, it makes it a nightmare. I mean, if you're in the middle of a big project and all of a sudden you gotta pull somebody off to go and,
You get a call once for 3 o'clock in the afternoon from a law firm or something,
Yeah.
can you get a quick, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we forgot, well,
and I mean, I know some towns that say that, you know, we only do final reads on this day.
yeah.
You know, some towns do that. I don't know if we wanna put something in here, like a time frame. It's only between 7 and 3 or whatever your regular work schedule is, so that
It'd
they're not
be
saying.
up to 2:30, you know.
Yeah, I think we should, because
After
Well,
that-
you guys are gone, we're not calling back for 4 hours to go.
That's correct, so 2:30 gives me a little cushion there, because it could take a
Meter is
while to
damaged or
put the
tampered with.
meter in or whatever, yeah, definitely.
So,
So just gotta figure out where to word
Seven-
that in.
7:30 to
Oh.
2:30 would be my hours of,
about 8 to,
That's-
8 to 2:30.
or 8 to 2:30, that's fine too.
That's what I used to do for the meter repairs, was
Yeah.
7:30 to 2:30.
Yeah.
You
All
can
final
put right
reads.
after the bottom of the first page,
Well, do you want it in the
no.
bottom or do you want it in the procedure part?
Procedure.
I would do it
yeah,
under
the,
the,
procedure, yeah, right at the, I mean, you can put it right at the end, all final reads will be
conducted
performed-
between the hours
conducted
of,
between the hours of 8 AM and 2:30 PM, Monday through Friday, excluding holidays. Yeah, because don't expect somebody to come out on Memorial Day at
And
1
I-
o'clock in the afternoon to do a final read,
so
I do
between
try-
8 and 2:30 on regular
on
scheduled
regular business days.
business days.
I try not to do that
Well, no,
on
because
Fridays,
some guys are scheduled
because
Saturday.
I'm only here till noon
Well,
time.
regular business hours, I mean, schedule, that's an
And
on-call thing that they're coming in to
So,
do
for me to process
rounds.
the
Exactly,
final and
just
get it
say
over to
weekday
them, so
Okay.
I try only to do it Monday through Thursdays.
But then you gotta add in
Okay.
holidays and,
Yeah.
Currently, right now, she schedules them, on Monday through Thursday, because Friday for the office is only a half a day.
right, so all final reads,
Monday
Are-
through
are
Thursday, regular
conducted
business hour,
8 to 12 Thursday, 8 to 2:30 Monday through
Monday
Thursday,
through Thursday.
Except holidays.
excluding holidays.
Excluding holidays,
Thank
yeah.
you.
That's good.
Anything else you have?
No, I like this very much.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept final read, final bill policy number WS 002-001
Second.
as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye, sorry, I didn't say it when you did all in
Okay, yeah,
favor.
And I didn't wait for you to say
Say,
it
I was gonna say,
either.
you didn't give me much time there.
Okay,
I'm still writing.
Yeah, anyone opposed? Unanimous. All right, now, is there anyone,
Is there
do
a
we
place-
have any regular people that this should be distributed to?
That would be my question.
Yeah, I do have a list of attorneys that frequent the office.
Attorneys and realtors.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's understandable.
I'm tired, I'm sorry.
It's been a long couple of days.
Um,
Is it ever?
So what I will do is, once I get it typed up, I will send it over to them right away.
Yeah, I'd say attorneys and realtors, if you have any that are competent.
Yes.
Yeah, I have
The ones that we do,
common
the
ones.
ones that we do regular
Is
business
it,
with.
do you wanna put it on the website?
I would, yeah.
On the-
I will also.
On the board out
post-
front, like we do the other thing when we.
What I will do is put a section on the website that's. water-
Procedures, policies,
Yeah,
yeah.
policies and procedures, and I'll put on the front sign that, please check the water sewer policy and procedures for new final read, blah, 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 blah. You know, just a short little, so that it will refer people there.
Okay, any proposals for, any other policies that you think we need to
I
At
think
this
is
point,
right now, but as we go, there's a few more maybe we're looking at down the line.
Do you want me
What?
for the next meeting to have a few more?
That's what I was gonna say, I
yeah,
would,
yep.
I
Just
would,
keep us,
yeah.
keep us moving with
and,
updating.
and feel free to draft them if you,
So
I kinda
Draft
did these
based
to
on-
give us kind of
That's
a,
good, I can work off of that.
a format
You
to
can
work
draft
with,
off
just to.
of, draft off of what we already have in place and
So we need,
at this point,
You need a connection one.
that's what I was about to say, I
Connection.
would say connection would be the next one that we
Connection,
wanna
yeah.
get to,
Okay.
to make sure that the non-transferable part is included
right,
in the
I
connection.
think, yeah, that's,
Cause that's one of the big things that keeps coming up, and, I
yeah,
mean,
you've
we've
got
had this
permit
pop up
extension, we've
multiple
got an
times.
extension, but we don't have, you know,
The actual
we need to
permit to begin
update the, current connection policy.
So, I mean, you found some of these, so that's good that we can,
That's what I was looking for, what was road.
right, so if you found any other things
I will
like
go back
this.
through, absolutely.
Does that,
Um,
we'll get that book.
Yeah, I've been going through.
So, the other one that's on this list that you had here was the backflow and cross-connection regulation.
We'll do that one.
So now, is that a regulation, or is that a policy?
Backflow and cross connection? Backflow and cross connection, that's regulation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's regulation based on
That's-
Toomey
that's
Services.
state.
Yeah, that's all based.
Ooh,
No, well, that's,
I don't know if that's.
per
mine.
DEP regulation, we're required, but how are you writing this in here? Is this under,
The only issue would be access. We've never had that problem before. I mean, again, that fall under that same other policy, even with that, well, not really, it's metering, but it's still access issue.
That's-
Let me do some more digging on it?
I'm just trying to figure out what the purpose of this is. Is this a,
Purpose of which?
of the,
Amendment to backflow.
the amendment to the backflow cross-connection regulation?
Where do you see that?
Back to
It's
this.
the last page of
Oh.
the old ones.
Oh. Yeah, I vaguely remember this meeting when we were talking about, we were doing exactly what we're doing here, but still without actually putting them in a format.
Right, well, I'm just wondering, is this in a bylaw, or is this in, you know, because regulations and bylaws require typical town meeting vote. But if you're just saying that,
Well, this.
if
this
you've
is-
got some statement saying that you're referring to the actual state regulations, that's different, but I see something that DEP had contacted you to say that you quoted an incorrect section of the.
Well, yeah,
MGL.
the next paragraph. At the correct wording for the amendment to the control of backflow and cross-connection regulation would be the following. And that's what DEP said we
Yeah.
should,
So
that's
this-
the wording.
This would be in your,
This is in our regulation and
right, so this, I don't,
locally adopted.
was
Well,
voted
actually, I'm
at
sure this
February
is-
6th meeting.
This is
Was
CMR,
that-
this is law.
Really,
Right, but I'm saying that this was, says it was voted at the February 6th meeting. Are you saying that you voted on this regulation at a commissioners meeting? Or was this voted at town meeting?
Must have been a commissioners.
This would have been a regular
Also,
commissioner
why-
meeting.
We have an outside service comes in, so I don't understand why.
Yeah, but well, DEP requires you to have a cross-connection
It-
regulation
Yeah,
within
but
your.
I don't- why
It's
they-
out, that's probably local there might be parts of it that are local adoption.
Well, yeah, you have to adopt it to your town bylaws, so.
Right.
So we need to check on those.
Yeah, I would verify where this is, what it's in. Is this part of the water sewer department bylaw? Because if it's
Yeah.
part of the bylaw, you can't,
It
like, you've got this here, this is part of the bylaw.
It spells out 248 CMR 10 and
Yeah, that's the,
310 CMR
That's the state-
22.2.
those are the state regulations.
Those are regulations, this is
Yeah.
regulation.
We can't vote to change those at these meetings, because
No.
if we could, I got a whole bunch of changes I'd like to.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think this is just.
Starting with the PFAS
just
limit.
lo-
Move
This
on
is,
from
this
there.
is local, this is local adoption, I believe.
Right, so if it's a local adoption, typically a regulation would be in your bylaw. So, like I said, just if you can find out where this section is,
I'll have it.
because this isn't gonna be a policy, this is gonna be,
Requirement.
I believe like the last line there, upon failure,
But
the
you-
town will send out a 14-day certified notice. That's our wording, that's us,
that's actually, well,
that's
yeah.
us.
The
And the $50 fine per day,
the fine part
that's
is us,
us.
yeah, but the 14-day is part of the regulation, actually.
right.
But I remember this, George, you brought this to us at one of our meetings, that we needed to,
I don't remember this that I brought. This was when I was interim. John was still in here, right
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say, this was before my time.
This is my,
I'm remembering this meeting, and that was,
Oh, it was a public hearing, so you had a public hearing.
yeah,
on my glasses. I can't really see them. It doesn't matter.
public hearing to discuss these three issues. Meter tampering has always been high on our.
Yeah, so it was done in a public hearing, not a meeting. So I would just check to see where that is, because again, if it's part of our rules and regulations, or if it's part of bylaws have to go to town meeting with a 2/3 vote, so,
I can find out for next.
yeah, I just wanna make sure we got it where we're supposed to have it.
Yes.
Okay, and number 5, I think we need to consider doing something with that, in line with, our,
Bylaw.
our current
You know,
situation with blending and water use. We don't, we need to be ready, and we should be proactive with this, rather than waiting until,
Yeah, we don't wanna be reactive.
rather than waiting until, we are in a drought or running up against it. Not sure exactly what, but this is the bylaw, part of 1952 general bylaws, and it was adopted by our department in 2002. This is what we can do with teeth for restricting outdoor water use.
Now, you got two big scenarios here. You got, restricting water use is one thing, moratoriums is another thing, because of,
Yep.
and you can't really say case by case. That's kind of, so we're right now holding our own. I mean, we've had rain, we've had, the state's under its regular drought scenarios and stuff.
The paragraph that's of major concern is paragraph 287-9, restricted water use. Declaration of a state of water supply conservation, that's gonna come from the state. Actually, we can declare one under 8, based on whatever the situation is. But there are
Right, so
some of them.
We have
that
the
do-
right, like other towns have, like, certain.
Water
restricted
supply
use or
emergency
laws
comes
and-
from the state.
Right, but we can, the water supply conservation.
We
so-
can initiate 287-8, we can initiate 287-9.
287-9 is only if the state declares it to be a
No, a
state.
declaration of a state of water supply conservation, which is 287-8.
Yeah,
In order to do that, these are the guidelines. Under what conditions?
Yeah.
We can do an odd even, outdoor watering. We can initiate a straight out outdoor water use ban.
You're gonna do.
We can set hours, we can do that without state approval. Filling of swimming pools, we can say no to
Do we
that.
need to?
We already do.
We already say.
right,
no.
well,
Scott?
what do we
What-
implement now?
What do we need to implement now? What do we
Well-
implement now is just a normal state.
Right, so under
warranties.
your current water withdrawal permit, they require a water ban or a water use restriction to be implemented between May 1st and September
Yeah, it's a
30th.
standard in most
But there's two options you have. You either do calendar year, so that's that period, or you do inflow stream gauge data based on the state, and you gotta follow that
Yeah,
constantly,
you
so.
got calendar year is what
So
we,
it's typically the calendar one is easier to do, so that already covers most of this, so we should already have that in place.
We don't have an outdoor watering ban in effect.
the idea
we
is
don't-
advertising it, so the public specifically knows, we
We
always
don't-
have out there for, you know, voluntary or water restrictions, blah, 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 but we don't have real, restrictions now as far as, no, there'll be no watering at any time except at night or anything like that. You know, like I said, I'm trying to look ahead at what the weather is gonna look, and our drought's gonna look like, and then, right now, we're in okay shape.
But what I'm saying is you may
But we
wanna
can't.
look at the wording in your Water Management Act permit, cause it may require you to implement this regardless of if it's rained every single day for the last 365 days. And if we've got 7 wells online and we're not using half of them because we got so much water, the newer permits all required a water ban from May 1st to September 30th unless you want to go the in-stream flow
Right.
data. And then you've
Yeah.
got to monitor it every day and check with them, but
We don't have an odd even, we don't have outdoor water use.
well, I'm saying that we haven't declared it under this, but this bylaw was put in place before the state was adding it to water withdrawal permits.
Okay, right.
So
okay.
our permit, which the state regulates and says you shall do this, we may not be following one of the requirements of our permit.
That's entirely possible.
So we need to check with that and,
What level is the drought situation right now? I don't think it's,
28712, paragraph 28712 on the second page actually spells out when the state comes down and says,
right,
You
this,
will.
this is under an emergency.
right,
I'm saying if you look at your water withdrawal permit, they're adding that to the language
Mhm.
in the permit that
Yeah,
says,
I get it.
regardless, you have to put it in,
Right.
whether there's a state of emergency or not, so. I would say that we just need to look at the water withdrawal permit, cause we could possibly already be required to put a water ban in effect annually, regardless of any conditions.
And according to this, there is 28713, spells out penalties.
Yep,
Now, you know, it's by, recovered by indictment, so it is by going to court, but,
Mhm.
Someone's gotta actually, you know, issue a ticket.
right.
And I don't remember the last time we had any kind of a, not in
Probably
the
not.
15 years, probably not in the 18 years that I've been here. Has there been
I
any?
think the police would be involved with that as far as that. goes. I
Not
don't know if we
necessarily,
have- I don't
not
know if we have that.
necessarily.
21Ds can be issued by,
The-
like.
Because the Board of Health can do it.
Board of Health issues.
Yeah, well, you guys, you guys.
Yeah.
We can as well.
We'll send
It's
you.
a public water supply, huh?
We'll send you.
I'm all for it.
So.
Get your hat and badge and we'll
I'll
sign.
go.
So I think the idea that you put on here was to decide if we need to put a moratorium in place.
Not necessarily, maybe a moratorium, but, or just outdoor water use regulations for this summer period, especially during the blending and the uncertainty of, you know, what,
I think we need to-
what are the PFAS numbers gonna look like, and,
Right.
you know, that could change like that, and if we don't have something already in place, we're gonna be chasing our tails.
But what I'm saying, I think we need to verify whether we have one in place or not, because that negates any vote
Right.
that we do right now, that
Right,
by regulation, we're required to have one in
okay,
place.
that's fine, but we
I
need to.
think we should move on that, and I would think
Check on
the,
that. We'll
The,
check on that.
the document you noted was what?
the Water Management Act
Water
permit.
Management Act, okay.
And speaking of that, did you get your registration? Did you look at that at all today? I know I talked to
Yeah,
Brian
I
earlier.
got it late this afternoon.
Okay.
I did look through it and I did send it to Brian.
Okay,
So he has it and he'll be working on that.
because they sent
Water
out their letter
Management Act
saying today
policy.
was the deadline,
Yeah,
Okay.
and
but it's actually the end of the month.
that's what, yeah, that's.
Okay, that's,
You have another email.
oh, that's right, the other email, right here. We got an email today from the town administrator concerning the property at 6 Brandon Road.
It's actually 5 grand.
5 it is 5 Brandon Road, yeah, actually, he said that this afternoon too. 5 Brandon Road concerning the, the road opening. We have told the customer that we will waive those fees, but those fees are actually,
Highway
Say.
takes care of
that
road.
those are actually, road opening fees are actually,
Highway.
under the purview of the highway superintendent.
Yep.
So, by the tone of this letter, it seems that, they're not gonna be willing to do that. I suppose we could go to a selectmen's meeting and see, but, if not, what is the normal road opening fee?
Oh, I had it there. It was on the attachment. Shoot.
Okay, well, we can find out. I guess the question is, do we wanna entertain incurring that fee on ourselves?
So is this is, I know that's the property, the 5, but
Yep,
this is for the portion in the road.
they're gonna run down the gutter, but there is,
But we're gonna own it after it's done.
yes.
So is that, I don't know if that's theoretically our project and they're doing the work.
They're really, it's theirs.
Well,
Is it theirs all the way down?
it's their project, but I think
Project's on
we,
their property, it's going down until it comes to the connection point, then it goes into the road for the opening and it ties
That's
into
gonna be
us.
running down the gutter, that's
Yeah.
on town property
Yeah,
at that point.
that, yeah,
but
but you know,
I think we agreed at the meeting when we approved that project,
the connection part of it.
that, well, we agreed that we would take ownership of the section that's in Brandon Road because we wanted them to put a manhole there.
Yeah, yeah.
So because of that manhole, I think we all agreed that
From-
we should own the
From the manhole
infrastructure.
down to the
in-
connection to the main.
Right, so
It's
he's
gonna
gonna
be
own
ours.
like a normal, would be a lateral going into that, cause he's gonna have a force main, right?
Yeah.
Right,
So force main going in, he would own the force main, and we would own the street
Manhole
portion,
up.
from the manhole down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't remember if we said we would waive the fee, or
I
is
think
that?
we did.
well, yeah, we did,
Okay, but,
but that's a road opening, typically,
Yeah, we-
technically,
we
that's
don't have
the highway.
purview over
We
that.
don't, we
Yeah,
don't have the ability
waive
to waive
the
it.
connection fee.
Connection fee, but
We
not
do.
the road, that's not our.
Right,
purview.
so-
Right.
But, no.
right, so I don't think we authorize waiving
No,
the road opening permit.
no, we can't.
We authorize waiving the connection
connection fee,
fee,
okay.
so I would say that he's on the hook for the road opening permit,
Yes.
not us. And-
No, we can't do anything about it, that's up to the.
Right, that's,
Although that's, well, yeah,
But-
they may-
that is going to be we're gonna,
right, but it's still
Take
on the
ownership of it.
contractor. I mean, we're gonna own the sewer main going on Lyons Road too,
Remember when
but
it
we
was road
don't,
opening?
we don't take responsibility for the cost of putting it in. You know what I mean? So that's the same, he's gotta put this in and we'll accept it after
Can't
it's
remember,
done.
it was way back.
And there wasn't an attachment with it. They were talking about it across the hall and planning just about something else, the road opening. And I don't know if I heard 12 or 15.
I thought it was 12, but it's so far long ago, I don't remember the exact amount.
So, where did Mike get the idea that we were waiving the road opening permit fee?
Nobody's saying anything about waiving any road permit. That's something that's just the highway. We don't control that. Just the connection fee.
Yeah, but this says John, I was approached by Mike from the sewer department regarding the waiving of fees for street
Mike
opening
might have
permits
asked,
for
would you-
6.
here's the situation, is we wanna make everybody aware. And that was only to see, and he
see
probably.
if they would, yeah.
See if they would. Since we're waiving ours, would they waive theirs?
Oh,
Make this,
yeah.
and that just,
I wouldn't even recommend
That may have been, the property owner the person doing
May
the
have been
project
trying to
may
get
have
out of
asked
it.
Mike, and Mike just came and asked the town administrator.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we wouldn't waive those fees, that's up to
It's up to
the
highway.
highway, and if
Yeah.
he doesn't waive them, that's up to the property owner to pay that, is my opinion. I wouldn't pay that out of our funds. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
I agree.
There is.
That's what it is.
The only question that came in that was the fact that how many years were they paying a sewer fee for?
Well, see, that's
Yeah,
the
but
thing, they're
that's-
not-
For
that's,
something that
that's
was
on our
going
half
into-
for sewer use, that's one thing we've taken care of, our end of the deal. It was hopefully to be a courtesy on the other side, but
Okay.
we had no control over that, and that's what the intent was.
Okay.
It never hurt to
That was,
ask.
that was
and
the only
obviously he
question
made
that
a
came
big
up
thing
in
out of it.
Yeah.
this was that, you know.
I remember all
how
that
long have they been
discussion,
paying
but-
sewer fees that,
Yeah.
and going into a septic
but-
tank that they didn't even know existed.
Right, but we realized that, and legally you can go back 3 years, and that's why we waived the connection fee to the sewer.
Okay, that, yeah, that's, okay. Just wanted
Is
to
it
have
3 years they
it out there in
passed for debate?
discussion.
I think so.
And I always thought it was 1 year.
I thought it was 3 years.
Yeah.
Is it?
Okay, so I will send back a response. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for nothing.
I don't know, do we need
I
to
actually
vote on
wasn't
that, or
told, you know.
No, no,
And,
tell them
yeah.
thanks for nothing.
I don't know.
do we need to take a vote on that, or anything? or
No,
just
I don't think so.
As long as-
Okay.
We had a discussion and that's, yeah,
Consensus, yeah.
we're talking about the street, we're talking about chicken. Okay,
Does-
there's no public, board comments? We're here because of public comments.
Just for the board, quickly, TIG, the temporary treatment vessel.
Right,
I've already been in contact with Dave Conley over there. I'm waiting on an invoice to come back. He just got our information today. Talked to him Friday afternoon, when he got back to me. And I told him I want this process moved quickly. And then we're gonna lead into, first thing is gonna be the one first we're gonna get, and then we're leading into the second one.
Right.
175 PSI rated.
Right.
The thing.
Okay.
So, he says he's gonna try to move it quickly and get us, the information in so I can quickly sign it. Doesn't require anything right now, just to get it started, the process moving.
we can get it.
Did he have a lead time on that?
Same thing, early fall.
And
That's all he could tell me, sometime in the early fall, and that's,
But,
he says they're all,
are you authorized to sign on
He's
that?
not authorized.
I can sign just for an invoice on it to get it started, no money.
No, but
Just-
you're authorizing the
Yeah,
purchase.
I don't think you can.
I
authorize
think the
purchase, not
procurement
like that.
officer has to
We
sign
can't even-
anything
I
over
don't think it
50,000.
required in a procurement, and we asked that. Now, I mean, if it
We
requires it,
can't.
I'll get his signature.
We
but-
can't even sign that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
That's gotta
John's
go to
gonna have to
He just
sign
wanted
it.
to, you know, like,
That's gotta go to the TA for
I mean, I can have
signature.
John do it, it's not a big deal, but,
Yeah.
like I said, as soon as
I'm
I
just
get
saying
something-
legally, I don't think it'll uphold because of the dollar amount in the procurement laws.
Right.
I think it has to go through John.
I'm not, still, just what he said, just a quick little invoice is what he was telling me. He
No,
says,
that's-
yeah, like I said, okay, I can have him sign
No,
it.
there's nothing quick and little.
It's
This
just
is-
an approval authorizing
that's
the
all it is,
purchase, but
just
I
a-
think you can't
You
authorize the purchase.
It can only be authorized by the town administrator.
I don't even think
Procurement
I don't think
officer.
Scott could sign it
Yeah,
as
we
a
can't
chairman,
sign
he
that.
can't.
We used to be able to, but with having a procurement officer and all of
The-
that, that's,
The procurement
That goes to
officer
them.
typically will authorize, like, he'll grant you authority under his,
and if it all goes south, he's,
right,
I'm
he's,
assuming he's bonded to cover that.
right, so
But-
I don't know if he's authorized you, like in Douglas, they authorized me up to 50,000. So I'm authorized to sign anything, any of my contracts up to $50,000. Anything over that has to
Don't
go,
trust you too much,
yeah, has to go through the, well, it's because once you go over 50,000,
Yeah,
it's an RFP, it's a whole different
Yeah.
bidding process, and to make sure you follow
There's
those
too much,
rules.
there's too much legal schmiegel stuff for that.
And I just went through it today on a generator, because it was 50,000, it was.
Did you have anything else, George?
No,
Okay.
Still good?
I'm good.
Nope, I have no. Thank you for taking me back for another 3 years.
Oh, yeah,
I
congratulations.
think. Yeah, we'll see if
Congratulations
I'm
to both
still
of you.
thankful in 6
I'll
months.
vote for the other guy.
You gonna
No,
be
the
on the
other guy.
next meeting?
Yeah, July.
The other guy got more votes than I did, so.
Sorry, Scott, I didn't.
That's Jay, yeah. No, okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're out.